So we are going to be talking to you about the Lego case study and more precisely about the following points. So I will start off by giving you an overview of the business strategy of Lego since 2003. Then Motion will describe the consequences for the IP strategy. After that, Sinara will go on with the 7P concept, and Sachin will present the customer journey, especially for the active digital entertainment, the Lego video games. And at the end, Andreas will go on to describe and identify IP rights. So first, let's move to the strategy of Lego. So in fact, to better understand the new Lego strategy, I would like first to turn my attention to a SWOT analysis. So if we look at the internal point of view here with the company analysis with strengths and weaknesses, and after that we move to the external one. So for strength, we could identify that Lego has a very strong brand. The second one is that it has the most influential. It's the most influential company on the toy market, and then since 1932, it has a very high customer loyalty. Then about weaknesses, we could identify that since the beginning of the 20s, Lego has greatly diversified its activity through new products with franchises like Harry Potter, Bob the Builder, and so on, but also with a new initiative such as Lego Studios. He also created Legoland Parks in UK, in Germany, in North America. And he also created Lego brand stores. So the second weakness is about a specific method, which is the stamp method. That is to say, the structure and margin performance, which was not very efficient. Which was not efficient enough at this time, and also, we could identify that sales were extremely low at the beginning of the 20s. If we go to the environmental analysis, we could identify several opportunities. For example, in the digital games and interactive learning, but also with why not new franchises. And it could also create a new market for young female or for adults. And there is also developed synergies with stakeholders like retailers, for example. And for the threats part, we have two major ones. So Lego has very strong competitors, but there is also substitute products. So in fact, if we trying to cross-reference strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, we could see different strategies appearing. For example, matching strategy. If we cross-reference O3, S1, and S3, they could bring back an old brand and product, for example, Duplo. If we cross O3 and S2, they could reach a new market with Lego Friends. If we cross this time weaknesses and opportunities, we could have conversion strategy. For example, if we cross W2 and O4, they could improve the stamp method with retailers and marketing. If we cross this time W1 and O3, they could rationalize the product offer. On the third point, if we cross strength and threats, they could implement a neutralization strategy, for example, to promote product quality through the quality of mold. And the last one is kind of defense strategy. For example, if we cross W3 and T1, they can focus on cutting costs, especially by adjusting production capacity, or another one by crossing W1 and T1 by showing the theme parks and slow the Lego stores. So in fact here, the basic message here is by using tools like SWOT analysis, it allows Lego to identify in which direction he has to move from his situation in 2003 to his future one. And we could describe here a tied strategy. So if we look at the corporate level, we could say that they focus on core products for clearly defined customer groups and also develop just one adjacent market. In fact, in the case study, we have the sentence who said that the CEO, Jorgen Knutstorp, held by Chris Zook, noticed that Lego has been trying to develop not one agency every 5 years, but something like 5 agencies every year. So it was clearly too much. Then if we go deeper at the business level, they want first to focus on retail and here, for example, improve the stamp methods. And then they want to focus on end users and especially developed product with them. And at the last level, the functional one, we could explain and describe the strategy for several departments. For example, for production, the strategy could be to become the master of the moon. For a logistic point of view, it could be to optimize the coordination between warehouses and manufacturers, and those worldwide. From the marketing and sales department, we could identify 2 of them. So involve customers in the product development, but also to have a better segmentation of products. At the human resources level, the document says they could have a global reduction in the number of staff. For the financial one, they need to introduce financial targets and line profitability. And for the IP department, improve IP management, especially because they discover that a very important patent on the brick expired in 1989. So in one sentence, what they want to reach, that it's something like they not just want a brick, but a unique building system. So that's for the business strategy of Lego. So now let's move with motion to the consequences for the IP strategy.
Thank you, Veronique. Okay, I'm here to talk about consequences of for the IP strategy. As we learn in MIPLM, the competitive advantages has 2 sides. Please next, Veronique. Sorry. One is thank you. One is a similar product at the lower cost, and in the other side we have a premium price from unique product. So for Lego, we have differentiation advantages and premium price. For choosing premium price, what makes Lego unique? What are the differences? The first one is the brick and the system. The second one is the quality, and the last one is the logistic, the right product in the right time, in the right place at the right time. Please next, Veronique, sorry. In the strategy chart, we have an existing product in a progression regime that's set to us market and entry barrier align each new trademark with Lego brand. In impact vision, we have a communicate product uniqueness, and in the function, we have repetition function. For new product in appropriation regime, again, we have a market entry barrier is align each new trademark with Lego brand. In impact, we have enhanced Lego repetition of superior product, and in function, we have a quality function. For design, in appropriation, we have market entry barrier, and in function, we have a identification function. For patent, in impact, we have a technology lead, and for technology lead, we have protection function. For unique building system, we have repetition function. And next, we are talking about 7P. Yes, next, sorry. 7P concept, price, promotion, physical evidence, people, product, process, and place. That my dear colleague Sinara will explain this 7P concept.
So we need to keep in mind that the consumers are the center of the logic of this strategy or concept. So for legal case, the product is in general, first, product is referring to product or service that the business is offering to consumers. So in the case of Lego creates a product and sell things for kids until adults. I am a consumer, for example. So, and they have innovative products totally linked with digital technology nowadays, like movies, parks, video games, and almost everything. And the licensing is a very important point to toys portfolio for Lego. The next point, the next P is price, and it's how company practice price methodology for a product or service and how the consumers will react to it. So it is related to a premium price. The consumers totally perceive that the Lego has a good quality and is a good brand, and they practice a premium strategy, which is when a firm changes the highest initial price and then lower over the time, because we have in the Lego stores we have some stage of this price. Next, Veronique. The next piece places related not just the stores, for example. It is related to distribution channels, for example, and the Lego sells each product not just in the physical store, but also in e-commerce like Amazon and their own e-commerce. They own the retail stores, and we cannot buy Lego in anywhere. They are in some premium places, so you can see you are buying a Lego product. The next is physical evidence, and it is when you have a tangible item and it validates your experience of your purchase as a consumer. So they have a Legoland. You know you are in a park related not just bricks, and when you are in the store, you know it's not just toy store. You can live the experience. And they have also home of the brick that you can see how the bricks is produced. You can see the molding manufacture. So they give you the total experience. Next. The next P is people. This point is not to relate to consumers, but about his employees, and they have innovative culture in the company. The workforce nowadays is more than 20,000 employees, and with many qualified designers almost around the world. So it supports the idea and the business of Lego nowadays. So the next P is process. The process needs to function efficiently to deliver a product to your consumers. So Lego has molding machines that are specifically designed and created for Lego. This drawer, this design is a molding machine we can see in the home of brick, and you can buy this kind of toy. And the process is totally related with investment in PID, which made legal being like in the level top of this field. Next, the finally PA's promotion. So legal are in social medias, and they have kind of 7.5 million daily consumer engagement, and another experience that you can use to promote the trademark and the other service that the legal give us.
So I'm going to walk you through the customer journey map of a customer with the Lego video game case. So customer journey map is basically a pathway through which the customer interacts with or perceives the brand and its products. And it's kind of a collection of customer touch points. And touch points are like places where the customer directly interacts with the brand and its products. So I'm going to divide the map into 3 phases. So the before, during, and after phase. So before is when the person hasn't bought the product yet, but is sort of researching it and gathering information about it and has decided to make the purchase. So during is when the customer is directly engaging with the product, and after is after he's finished playing with the video game. So one thing to note about the toy industry or even these video games is that the buyer is actually the kids' parents, whereas the customer is mostly kids of 5 to 15 years and their parents. So Lego has to make sure that these video games are suitable for their kids, but are also able to convince parents to buy these for their kids. So all of this stems from an unmet need that the parent has, which is like, what do I do with my kid for hours together, which keeps them occupied, but also, helps their brain development. Of course, the Lego brand is so pervasive that everybody knows it. So really the question they're asking is, what game do I buy for my 5-year-old or 8-year-old or 10-year-old? So for this, they engage in some kind of internet research, maybe on the Lego website, or it may mostly be through word of mouth, through other parents and other kids. So once this is done, they decide to make the purchase. So for this, they can use either the e-commerce websites like Amazon, or they can purchase in retail outlets like Walmart or Target. So here we have elements of both physical and software interaction touch points with the Lego brand. So now we come to the phase where they've bought the game and they're actually starting to play with it. So these Lego games are very easy to install on a computer or a laptop. You really don't need like a gaming hardware or anything of that sort. Soon the customers, the end users will also realize that the gameplay is very simple. You can just, as soon as you buy the game, you can start, like using the input controls and playing it. Often, most of these games don't need a console, but there are also games with standard consoles of Nintendo, etc. You also have the option to save the game at all times so that you don't lose your development through the game. And the kids will also realize that the messaging of the game is very positive. It's sort of cartoonic. Even if there's any violence in the game, it's sort of presented in a very fun, cartoony fashion. And also the Lego brand will enable interaction with other universes such as the Harry Potter universe or Star Wars. So they do this through the co-branding concept. And one thing that's quite interesting is that you have this concept of fluid play where, where you're able to mix elements of the video game with the core physical Lego brick business. And kids will also realize that these games enable them to get creative and also improve their thinking. And they get a sense of accomplishment from playing these games. And this is what really gets them addicted to the Lego video game. It's also great that you're able to build memories with your family. Like the parents can also just pick up a controller and play with their kids. And you'll also have these Lego end users, interacting with each other and discussing these video games. So I think the end users will realize during this phase that Lego's really delivered on its brand promise, which is that they want to create games which are fun, which can occupy kids for hours together, but which also have the advantage of improving your creativity or stimulating your brain development, which is really what convinces parents to buy these products in the first place. So now we go to the final phase, which is after they've finished playing the game. The good thing about the Lego video game is that you can actually replay it. You will discover new areas in the game, new pathways to the finish line. So it's sort of, you can just play this on loop and discover new things. And as I mentioned, because Lego's really delivered on its brand promise, the customer will want to explore more video games, maybe of a higher difficulty the next time. And yeah, so the whole idea is to keep you trapped in this Lego hamster wheel until the kid sort of outgrows these games and becomes an adult and plays like Diablo or something. So on to Andreas for the patents.
Okay, so first of all, there are sort of several different IPs that we could have looked at, and I also did some searches for instance, design of characters or pieces of games, etc. And for Lego, but I didn't find any, so they could perhaps do that as well. They haven't sort of really, as I could see, at least sort of followed up on that or sort of researched that area. So when it comes to video games, of course, usually in the realm of copyright. So unsurprisingly, so Lego does not have many patent applications for video games, but they do have, and these are from 2003, like it's 19 patent families on fluid play with the sort of the mixed video game and physical Lego elements. So I have a few examples that I would like to show you. And next. Okay, so this is an early one where sort of you have a game system. Of course, you have all this compute data processing systems and everything, which we always need. But the important thing is that they do detect the presence of identification element, which is a piece of Lego in a certain area. And then in the game, you create association between the virtual object in the virtual environment, the game, and the detected identification element. And then you access this and you present a representation of the virtual object in the game, and you perform a play pattern procedure including controlling the representation of the virtual object. And as you can see, for instance, in this drawing here, you need to sort of build this tractor, as you see in figure A. You see all the pieces. In figure B, you see they have built this tractor. So this is as sort of one of the things that was said in the study for Lego was that they want to sort of return to the Lego brick legacy and focus on the brick system. So they also do that in the video games, so that the bricks are included in the video games. Okay, so this one is rather advanced actually. This is a artificial intelligence patent actually. This is similar like to the other one. They also use a camera to receive images, and they use, as you see in red here, a trained convolution classification model. So this is a AI system to predict. They match and then affect the gameplay experience based on that matched information. Actually, so to detect the element and find what kind of object it is and position it in the game accordingly. Yeah, so this is also one way of so this is a rather advanced patent actually. Next. Okay, so this one was an earlier one. This is also a bit simpler, but also sort of similar thing, using two iPads, typically for kids, where you have a video game on the kid on the iPad. This is a multiplayer game. So here you do one thing on the physical element, you film it, and that corresponds to something that happens on the screen of the other participant, and he can also interact with that. So yeah, and this is a rather advanced system, which actually you go the other way around, where you have, in this case, for instance, it's not very easy to see, but this is a knight and a car, and here is a system where the kid can do a storytelling, and either sort of using a projector to find things, but also you can use oral commands, such as say, as you can see on the drawings there, car follows knight, drives after knight, and then this knight here will start to move and the car will start to move. So they sort of have a completely a system that is all working together with communication, movement sensors, etc., etc. This is just a few examples on how Lego are moving into a more interactive way of video games, where the sort of the physical Lego bricks are working in the virtual world.